Okay, so you guys, after we do the preparation phase, and really at the next session, you're going to start with the guided imagery tasks. And the first imagery task that we're going to do is the review of the recent suicidal crisis. And I know we talked about this earlier, but really the purpose of this first imagery task is to assess whether the patient can actually produce a vivid image of the recent crisis, and also to help the patient access those emotions associated with the crisis. So you're going to have them walk through in detail, like we talked about earlier, as they did the timeline and told you their narrative. They're going to do that again as part of the imagery portion of the treatment. A couple things to remember. First of all, you're going to ask the patient to close their eyes and describe in the present tense the sequence of events. I think the best way to really kind of see this is for us to show you guys a video of what this is going to look like. So at this time, I'd like to share a video of our therapist, Dr. Greg Brown, who you've seen previously, and he's going to be engaging our patient, Sergeant Bagwell, in the first 2 relapse prevention exercises. So I want you guys to pay attention to the video screen. We'll watch this, and then if you have any questions, we'll talk about it after the video.
So today, Carl, I'd like to go over the relapse prevention task that we talked a little bit about last week. And if you recall, we went over the skills you learned during treatment. And so what I'd like to do today is kind of like a dress rehearsal for when you get upset, even think about killing yourself, and how to handle that.
Really great discussion on protective factors, you guys. I love hearing your thoughts on that. So great job. So now that we've covered the suicide risk assessment section, we're going to do a practice exercise. So I want you to think about everything we just covered, talking about what you want to cover in a thorough suicide risk assessment. And we're going to focus on one area of that. So if you could just take a minute, pull out handouts 7 and 8. And when you guys have those, I want you to just slap me some Ys. Perfect. You guys have both of those. Wonderful. So first of all, just to kind of point out, if you look at handout 7, this is really an overview of handout number 8. You're going to use handout 8 when we do the breakout exercises. So this is what the handout looks like. So what we're going to do at this time, just so that people are clear, I'm going to give you a brief explanation, and then I'm going to have Maria give you a little more information. We're going to break into groups of 3 to practice doing this focused assessment of suicide intent. And what we're going to do is in those triads, we're going to have one person be the assessor, one's going to be the patient, and the other person's going to observe. And we're going to do a 15-minute practice exercise, and then we'll have you guys switch roles. So we're going to do this twice for a total of 30 minutes. I do want to point out that when you get to your breakout room, there will be a timer in there, and it will do a countdown for 15 minutes. So
All right, well, like Dr. French mentioned, you're going to be sent into a breakout room. You're going to get into a group of 3. Once you get to your breakout room, make sure that you unmute your microphone by clicking on the speak option at the bottom toolbar so that you can participate in your role play. All right, so at this time, we are going to get ready to teleport you. So go ahead and click on the option stand, which is at the bottom toolbar of your screen, right above profile. Great, thank you. Now I'm going to go ahead and teleport you to your breakout room in about 3 seconds.
Hey guys, so I guess I'll be the therapist for the first go around. That sound okay to you?
Okay, all right. I'll be the patient.
Okay, great. All right. So I'm gonna pull out my handout here, and we're just kind of going through the handout. Is that basically what we're doing?
I think so.
Oh, okay. All right. So we've been talking about how it's been a rough time for you lately, Kelly. And, first thing I wanted to ask you about is, have you been actually thinking about killing yourself? Have you had, thoughts about suicide lately?
I have. I think about it a lot, actually.
Okay. When you think about it, can you tell me exactly what you've been thinking?
Well, I just have a lot of downtime, and sometimes if I'm not busy, if I don't have anything to do, I just kind of sit there and I think, don't really have a good reason to be here. I don't.
A hypothetical way that you might do it. Does that sound about right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
So I want to intervene for just one moment, just to take an opportunity to point out a teaching moment. And you were doing a really great job, Andy, and you were doing a really great job at being a realistic patient, Kelly. So thank you for that. But Andy, I think this was a great example where really when you're looking at starting to assess the plan, you're really looking at two different potential methods where oftentimes we kind of get stuck in what's your plan, and she was talking about maybe looking at means, but then she started talking about overdose. So I think this is really just a great example to highlight that sometimes we need to assess for multiple methods, and you were doing a really good job of just kind of following that.